let's get into it. It's crime o'clock, yeah, feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick-tock, won't stop, let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah, it's crime o'clock. Clock, clock, yeah. Typically new, neon signs glow, brick wall behind me. Headlines loud, but they never define me. They rush the story, skip the proof. I slow it down, let it show the truth. Files on deck, read every line. Timestamps matter, so does time. If it don't fit, I don't force the frame. Ask one question, whole story change. No fear in my voice, no need to shout. Paper speaks when you read it out. If the math's off, I'll circle twice. Truth ain't loud, but it ain't nice. Yeah. Read it again. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Pull up real close, yeah. It's crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Read it again. They sell a narrative if I sell receipts. Courtroom quiet, but the pages speak. Word for word, no added spin. Let it stand, yeah. Let that sink in. Screenshot save, timeline's tight. Missing pieces keep me up at night. If they say elected, I say why. If they say case closed, I say try. No rush here, we do it right. Truth don't bend for the likes of hype. If you came for noise, you in the wrong spot. This is evidence, this is crime o'clock. Clock, clock, clock. Stay with me. This isn't background noise. This is pattern recognition. This is documents. This is crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock, yeah. Feel that sound. Typically unique when the truth comes out. Tick tock, won't stop. Let the facts talk. Say it with me now. Crime o'clock. It's crime o'clock. Typically unique. It's crime o'clock. Yeah. If you're here, you're early. If you're listening, you're paying attention. Show starts now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crime O'Clock on Typically Unique. Hello, hello. Hope everybody's having a great day today, and I apologize for being late. Time got away from me. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Actually, I blame it on the glasses. I got my new glasses. I don't know if you could tell, but they're like just a little bit glittery at the bottom, like a rose goldish color, and they fade up into like a really pretty blue color. I love them, but oh my goodness, like first of all, they're trifocals. So when I was in there getting them, the lady's like, you're going to have to practice because I got to look down to read and straight ahead for normal vision and then up at the top for far away. So I just can't see. I can't see anything. Now I can. Oh my God, reading. I've been like trying to read everything. I'm like, oh, I can see it. Like the text on my phone. I mean, it's just been amazing. I don't know why I didn't do it a long, long time ago. Thank you. Thank you. I see your comments. You can see my eyes now. Oh my gosh. Maybe that's why I got comments on my glasses. I was just using readers before. So yeah. Hi, Christina. Hi, Stephen. WW, you're green. You were one of the gifted memberships yesterday, I think. Hi, Buffalo Chick. You got the same last year. Yeah. So weirdly enough, like I go get these glasses yesterday and the lady's like, do not wear them driving home because it's going to be such a change and you got to get used to where to look. And it's blurry when you look in the wrong spot. She's like, I don't want you getting in a car wreck. So I made a stop on the way home and I was going to go just run in the store real quick, grab a couple things. I'm like, oh, I'll wear them in the store. I got out of my car, walked up on the curb, took a couple steps, and was like, I didn't have my balance. I'm like, I can't even walk in these things. So ran back to the car, took them off, traded them for my readers. But when I got home, like I've been wearing them nonstop ever since. So I'm used to them now. Getting used to them, I should say. Thanks. My eyes are magnified. Oh, well, they also got the Blu-ray blocker, for being on the computer. But yeah, yeah. So that's my new news. I know there is. So today I'm going to focus on my thoughts on possible motives, right? And I've kind of always stuck to the same theory with the Idaho 4 case. I'm just kind of tweaking it more as more information comes out. And now that we have the Sigma Chi interview information, it's kind of like it's helping narrow, I think. So I'm going to share that. But before I get into the Idaho 4, I know there has been Nancy Guthrie updates. And so those of you that have been following Nancy Guthrie, let me get into that in a second. I want to finish saying hello to everybody. Hi, Skull. Hi, Crime and Chaos. Hi, Ro. Hi, Christina. Hey, Lori. Beach Babe. Mike. Candace Kai, Kandeski. Let me know how to say that. I think I said hello to Buffalo Chick and Steven Sluther. Hi, Kenny Dodson, pretty much Finland. Jenny Reyes, Italian girl. Good to see you. All right, everybody. All right. So with Nancy Guthrie, I guess the only update is that there have been a couple more, 2 more ransom notes that were sent into TMZ. And we also got Harvey Levin spilling a little bit more tea. See, I'm practicing right now with my glasses because when I look straight at the chat, it's blurry. I got to look down. I have to look up and look down. Kentucky, Candace, Kentucky. I'm sorry. I'm going to call you Candace Kai. Oh, that's funny. Skull, I must be your alert for walking your dogs. Those cute little dogs. All right. What was I saying? Oh, the 2 letters that came in, they are not from the people who took Nancy Guthrie, but from the person who says they know who took Nancy. And now they're asking for half a Bitcoin. And so the little bit more information that Harvey Levin said was that I guess they have enough information based on the previous ransom notes. The person that said he was going to tell who took Nancy, the first time he sent the letter, he said time is of the essence. And then the next letter came on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I don't know if it was the first week or the second week. Because remember the people who said we have her, they set a deadline for the following Monday. Like we found out she went missing on Monday, February 1st, I think it was. And then February 8th was like the deadline. So I don't know if she was still alive on the 8th. And then that letter came out saying time is of the essence. And then the person who knows who took her sent one on Wednesday and said time is no longer of the essence. So they're guessing she must have passed from either Tuesday into Wednesday. I just don't know if it was immediately the first couple days or if it was the following week. If any of you heard that differently in the chat, let me know. Hi, blue-eyed butterfly. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hi, Witchy was. Contacts for distancing, reading glasses on top of that, and night blindness. Get trifocals. Get trifocals, Witchy. I can't do contacts. I can't. My daughter tried them, so I watched her, and she didn't end up sticking with it. So thanks for all the compliments on my glasses. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not doing contacts. Yeah, so that's the news with Nancy. And then let me share a couple clips with you. And I don't need that open anymore. So I found this clip on TikTok that it's a clip from when Kaylee Gonsalves comes out of the house through the slider. Pause. There we go. When she comes out through the slider, and the comment said, just listen to the sound of the slider. So some of you might have heard this. I'm sure it's pretty old, but I was like, ooh, that's telling. When you think about being in the house, if the police are saying that Brian Koberger entered through the slider and everybody was in their room sleeping, listen to this.
Noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I assume noise.
Yeah.
So try not to focus on what she's saying. Look at the slider and listen to the sound of the slider, how loud it is. And think about it being, if it was quiet. I mean, maybe there was music playing, so I guess there's that, but it's loud.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I assume noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where if you were trying to come in the house quietly and every little nudge is making a noise, you're like, oh my gosh. All right. And then I'm going to talk a lot today about Delta Tau Delta. And I found this funny little clip, but all the fraternities and sororities will put on either types of talent shows, or they all come up with dances, right? Basically is what I'm going to show you is a dance. I thought it was funny. Delta Tau Delta. I can't play the song though because I have to then silent it, and then it makes my live chat go away for the replay. So yeah, we'll just watch them dance. Share that. Share. It's muted. No, at the stage. This could be any Delta Tau Delta, but oh my God, look, cheesy. And so I thought it was interesting too to see how they make their symbols. They're dancing to a rap song. DTD. So they're DTD. All right. Hi, Dinocytes. Hi, Meanie. Yeah, contacts you got to take out before bed. I don't need more like chores to do. The lady at the shop told me though, she's like, if your glasses aren't on your face, put them in the case. So I'm like carrying this thing around with me everywhere, but I really don't. I only take them off for bed. So yeah, dance it out, Witchy was. Dance it out. Those are some slick moves. All right, funny. All right, here's where I'm going today. So, because I'm hoping that I can stay focused and that this live is not like all over the place with different information concerning the Idaho 4 case. So I thought, well, let me explain like what I'm thinking. And then as I show things and we talk about things, we can all connect them. And of course, and I have questions. Like I obviously don't know everything and sometimes might make mistakes. Oh, and I also wanted to read this because we are going to talk about people and circumstances. So let me just say this. I'm going to come up with I'm going to put this in my like bio area too. But let's see. How do I want to? Any individuals mentioned in this crime investigations podcast are presumed innocent unless until proven guilty in a court of law. The host does not assert any claims of fact regarding the guilt or innocence of any individual and encourages viewers to conduct their own independent research. I will include analysis, critique, and commentary on publicly available materials under the fair use principles. And this is for reporting, teaching, research, and entertainment. Oh, my goodness. This show does not intend to defame, misrepresent, or harm the representation of any individual, organization, or entity. If any information is found to be inaccurate, it is unintentional and corrections will be made when appropriate. Viewer discretion is advised because the content may sometimes include sensitive topics. There you go, everybody. I will not do that on every show. Oh, hey, Karmic. Hey, Karmic. Always do your own research. That's right. And, hey, most of you know me. Oh my God, can I talk? Most of you guys know me by now. And if I don't know, I'll ask you guys, right? Or I'll just say, I don't know. And sometimes I think I know something and I make an honest mistake. Not ever, definitely not ever putting out false information on purpose. Never doing that. Okay, so here's my thoughts. I keep going back always to the beginning when Chief Fry at the press conference said, we don't know, was the house the target or individuals or certain people inside the house targeted? And I've just always been stuck on that because it's, first of all, targeted is like, to me, not a rando psycho killer entering the house just to kill 4 people. That's, to me, not targeted. And I don't feel like they had any evidence of that for Brian Kohberger anyways. Like, they tried to tell us that in the beginning. Remember in the beginning, they were like, oh, he'd been to the area like 12 times. And where did that information go? Where did that? All we know are the pings, right? But, we were able to find out what the pings mean. It doesn't mean in the neighborhood like they tried to portray it to be. It means within a radius where your device would ping off the tower, which is a long ways. Hi, Jessie Lynn. Good morning. Hope you're having a good day. All right. So I don't think targeted attack means Brian Koberger. That's my opinion. So then you start thinking, okay, well then who else is targeting it? Like, what's a motive? Like, it's either like love, money, drugs, usually those, right? So I have always been stuck on the drug theory, especially after hearing, I mean, I hate saying anything that implies like a negative light on any of the victims, but those victims do not, because I'm going to talk about their parents, like they're not responsible for what their parents do is the bottom line. So, but when I heard about the parents having charges and all that stuff, so that's just always made sense to me. I don't know. All right, so forgetting the parents and just looking at the victims, people that lived in the house, my thoughts are, if the house is targeted, was the house, like, forget individuals, was that house used for selling or storing? Okay. Is that a possibility? And I thought that because hearing how the history of the house, and it would, like, one frat would live in it, then it would turn over to another frat, then it would turn over to a sorority, flipping the house like that. Maybe there's someone who outside of university life has control over that house and what it's used for. I don't know. These are, and I think that because of that weird locked room in the basement. And I know people will say, oh, they kept it locked because of, the heat or whatever, or they didn't want people messing with it. That makes no sense to me. I don't know. Who's going to go, oh, I'm a 20-year-old girl. Let me go mess with the heater downstairs in the basement. What? Let me go mess with the water tank. What do you guys think? That just doesn't make sense to me. So that's weird. It's not a very big room. It wasn't very big. But okay. So I thought, that's what it could be used for. Again, could this have happened because there was like kind of like this fight for the house? So currently, the pi beta phis, which I recently discovered, we just call them the pi phis. The pi beta phis were living in the house. Everyone in that house was a pi beta phi except for Kaylee. All right. So I guess that kind of shows they must have been hard up for a roommate. Like they could not find another pi beta phi to take that room. Or was it Maddie was in charge because Maddie had lived in that house, which I haven't heard a lot about. Maddie lived in that house at least the spring semester before, the year before. And I don't know who she lived with back then. So that could be some interesting information that could add to it. Was it still the pi beta phis? I'm very interested in that sorority because I know they got in trouble for health and safety reasons. I believe it was during the 2022 school year. So I don't know if it was in the fall when it would have been the 2021, 22, that year. Sometime they got in trouble. So if some super sleuth detective that has like legal, no, maybe we need an undercover sorority person who can get into their national website to find their old archived reports because you need a password to get in there. You need a password to get in there. Let's see. The victims. Hi, Nomadic Duckman. The victim's Instagram presence can't be ignored. The flaunting and taunting everyone perceives it differently. Yeah. Reading your comments. Okay. All right. So Pi Beta Phi's had control of the house when this happened. I always thought it was the Sigma Chi's that were always at the house, when we would see the guys come to the door and all of that. But so the men in the house, the guys in the frat boys in the house, Ethan was a Sigma Chi. Hunter Johnson is Phi Delta Theta. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but there's another guy that comes to the door with Hunter Johnson in one of the videos. And I've heard people say that that's Kai Davis. And regardless, we know Kai Davis was in the house with Bethany, and he is a Delta Tau Delta. Okay. Jack Showalter also said he was in the house. And there's that photo of him holding Xana's stuffed animal. He's a Delta Tau Delta. Maddie's boyfriend, Jake Schreiber, is a Delta Tau Delta. So out of all these interviews that I've listened to, and by the way, I want to give Connor. The channel is called Connor. I always type in Connor Idaho 4 to get to it. I've been using his videos, so shout out and credit to him for getting these interviews. But information coming out about the Delts and their associations, what was said about them, that they would be the fraternity to go to if you wanted to get the white powder or the pills. So that's very telling to me. All right. I mentioned the Pi Beta Phis, the Delts that were dating girls at the house. I want to ask you guys about Connor Chestnut eventually. We'll talk about that later. It's going to come up. But okay, my next bullet point says the Delts dating girls at the house. Kai Davis seeing Bethany. And then there are reports that we're going to look at that say Kaylee. In fact, I should probably just pull that up right now while I'm talking about it. Kaylee had been dating two different guys that were Delta Tau Delta. Let me look what page number of that is. Okay, ISP report 137. No. This one. This one. All right. Sharing this. Okay, this is Moscow Police Report number 90. Okay. And I will tell you, I started thinking about the Delts watching these interviews, right? Hearing them talked about for the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh. Then I was just, I don't know, scrolling through YouTube looking for something, and I discovered Amber Vance's channel, and I did listen to her 2 videos that she had out. One's about the 2 Jacks, and there's another one. And I liked that she gave the report numbers. What's in the report numbers? So set aside whether you agree like with her interpretation of things or whatever. I thought she was very she tried to fill in the blanks, all these redacted black boxes with what she knew. And that's where my question about Connor Chestnut comes up, because do you think that's an accurate do you think that's the accurate person that goes into this report? When it comes up, I will point it out to you. But I wanted to get, so I just kind of like used what she said was in each report to be like, okay, where can I find information about the delts? That's what I was doing. Okay. Looking at your comments. All right. So here's what this says. Let me make sure I've got, yep, this is the beginning. And who wrote this? Dustin Blaker wrote this. Okay. And who are they interviewing? This is Bethany's interview. This is Bethany's interview. So Bethany's talking. She said Kaylee was possibly hanging out with MB, and that we believe is Mason Barstow. And I think he was the vice president of Delta Tau Delta. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But okay, another girl in the house, Kaylee, hanging out with Mason Barstow, if that's the right name. Barstow, or Bethany stated M was Xana's big in the Greek system. Is that Maddie? Okay. I thought Emily was. I thought that's why Emily and Xana were so close. How is M Xana's big? Wasn't Emily? Reading your comments. What frat is Jack D from? He is from, I have to look at my list. I started a list because I keep forgetting. Beta Theta Phi, or Pi. Maybe I wrote it wrong. Beta Theta Phi. So he's a beta. He's a beta. All right, continuing on. I don't know how this M was Xana's big in the Greek system, unless if it's Maddie, but I thought Emily was. Bethany stated the relationship was new and that he had never stayed over at the house, but Kaylee had stayed with him possibly more than once. And I think this is important because Jack Showalter was a Delta Tau Delta, and he said he didn't know Kaylee, but she spent time over at the house. I also found some interesting information that, because everybody keeps saying Jack Showalter got kicked out of the fraternity, but I don't know how we know that for sure. And I hope I have it in the 2 docs that I pulled up, but I was reading a document this morning and it said, and I believe it was him that they were talking about, that he only paid dues to the fraternity so he could access the house. He didn't live in the house, and he could get 1 meal a week. So he lived in his own apartment and paid dues. It didn't say anything about getting kicked out, but maybe that's somewhere that I'm just not, not in the front of my mind remembering. Bethany stated Kaylee was also talking to an ER, and I think that's that Eric, is it Runge? And he had some type of, he was like the treasurer, I believe, something like that at Delta Tau Delta. So wondering how that went down. Also, it seems like a small time frame because supposedly, Kaylee and Jack Decor were on again, off again. So maybe when it's off again, she's starts seeing somebody different. Don't know the time frame here. Seems like she officially cut it off with him in October. So yeah, kind of weird. I wonder how that went in the Delta Tau Delta house when Kaylee would be there with two guys that she had kind of been seeing. So there's that. Bethany stated she did not have a boyfriend. So Bethany didn't have a boyfriend, but did mention she was kind of hanging out with a KD, that's Kai Davis, who is a blank. Now, usually when they write Delta Tau Delta, they'll put 3 blanks, but this is just one big long one. But I do know he is a Delt because there's an Instagram post of him getting Delta of the month or something like that. I'm looking at your comments. Oh, you guys are talking about something completely different. Oh, here we go. Jasper the Jester, hello. She was. And yeah, Kaylee wasn't dating, the incoming freshman dudes at Delta Tau Delta. She was dating their leadership, but she was a senior, so makes sense. Itty bitty poof. Remember the landlord of Queen Road said Jack's dad was very insistent on getting this apartment. Okay, because didn't the Queen Road apartments have like another kind of separate smaller building in the back that he lived in? That might be it. Is it typical for a fraternity member to be, do they have big brothers? Is that how it works? I thought when you were in a sorority, you got every incoming class got a big, like a big sister, like a big. And then whoever that girl's big was is like your big grandma. Like they have generations that they follow each other through. Do they do it with fraternities? I've never heard of that. Any fraternity members or sorority members in here that can tell about that? Frats have big brothers. Well, I'm talking about the girl sororities. Do girl sororities get a big from the male fraternities? I've never heard of that. Ethan asked Xana to be his. What? Hi, Amethyst Noir. I need to look into this. I have never heard of that. Oh, I'm sure there's 2 Masons. Hi, Karmic. Oh, I said hi to you already. Hee. Kaylee met Mason through Xana. Thank you. Yeah. Hi, Becky. That's what I was just reading. Okay. So let's go with what this says. So this says, wait, where'd it go? I asked Bethany if she'd ever heard of a. Oh, did I skip? I think I skipped. Okay, you're gonna have to help me with these names because I don't know these initials. I asked Bethany if she had ever heard of a CG. Bethany stated she knew of a C. That would probably be Connor right here. I don't know who CG is. Connor, maybe. And he was also a Delta Tau Delta. So Connor Chestnut, if they're asking about a CG, anybody know who CG is? Maddie was Bethany's big. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought Emily was Xana's. I know. They're crazy. I'll tell you that. Moy? Maybe. Now I can't find where I read it at. Let me go back up here. Possibly hanging out with MBB stated. Maybe it could be Maddie was Xana's big in the group, but it's Emily. We know they said it was Emily. So so then in my opinion, it would be a male if they do both. I don't know. I'm going to leave that as a question mark. Okay. So that whole paragraph was about the delts. Nobody, let me know if you know who CG is, but I'm going to assume Bethany's saying she knew of a Connor and he was also a Delta Tau Delta, if that's what that says. Bethany stated Connor was a nice guy and knew Dylan. I have not heard Connor described as a nice guy. So maybe that's not Connor. Who starts with a C? Charlie, Christopher, Chris. What are some other C names? It's too long for Chad. Anybody know who CG is? Craig. Charles. Who knows? I asked Bethany if she knew a CB, and she stated she did not. I asked Bethany if she knew the person behind Kaylee and Maddie on the Grub Truck video. Bethany stated she did not know who the person was, and I do not believe that statement. I think there's evidence that she does know him. I asked Bethany if she knew a guy by the name of S. Bethany stated she did not know him, but stated she had heard from a friend of Maddie's. The friend's name starts with an S, that her boyfriend, it's JF. Is this the guy that got interviewed? John Felon? John Felon just did a Sigma Chi interview. This might be him. Also a Sigma Chi that he would never want to get in a fight with. Oh, Showalter. This is asking about Showalter, as he had anger issues. So, and John, John F is a Sigma Chi, and he's saying Showalter has anger issues. All right. I asked Bethany if she knew of anyone who had gotten asked to leave any of the parties thrown at the house. Bethany stated 2 guys from the blank house, JH, and another guy only she knew as R, got in a fight and were told to leave. Bethany stated this fight occurred about a month before the incident at the house. So, JH. I can't think of a name for JH. I was thinking maybe, so there is a document. It might be MPD number 1, but it's one of Jack Showalter's interviews, and he talks about hanging out with his best friend, that Amber Vance that I was talking about. She thinks the best friend is Connor Chestnut. Does anybody think it is someone else? Where was I going with that? Drawing a blank. Oh, the fights. And Jack states in his interview that the two of them had gotten in fights at other houses. I feel like on King Street. So knowing to get into fights. Those two were known to get into fights. I know, Ro. That's why I almost said Hunter Johnson, but it's JH. Do you think they put last name first? I don't think so. Not sure about that. Yeah, we're going to listen to some interview clips in a minute. I wanted to go backwards a little bit, though, and because if it's looking like, and I don't even know if I finished everything on my slide. If it's looking like somehow this crime involved the drug world, I wanted to go back and give possible scenarios based on what we know in the world, in our society, of how that could possibly even happen, right? All right, going back to my original list, though. So my whole thought process. So I pulled up that document because I just wanted to show the connection of the Deltas and the girls in the house. So there is that connection there. And so I guess it was there all along, but then hearing these interviews just kind of brought it back to the forefront. So also thinking about the house as the target, or what's going on inside that house as the target. Don't forget about Demetrius and Emma, right? They've kind of faded into the distance when it comes to this case, but they're still in the mix. Thank you, Karmic. Just wondering if they match any of these. Did you drop some names for me, Beach Babe? Whose last video? Oh my gosh. Tommy Jude dropped that list on his last live, and I wrote every one of those down, and I have to find it. Thank you. I will find that. You are right. All of those initials. Yes. Man, his name has come up 2 days in a row over here. I feel his energy. Let's see. Thanks, Jen. Hi, Jen. JH and AR were FOIA'd by Jules. This was in text messages between BF, I'm assuming, although they didn't specify, and Blaker. Interesting. Oh, yeah, in reference to the fight. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Ethan. So here's the other thing. Okay. When you look at Ethan, and I'm not saying this is abnormal. I spoke about this yesterday too. It is quite normal for college freshmen, kind of getting that freedom for the first time, going crazy, right? They're free. They don't have to answer to their parents. They might be managing their own time for the first time, partying too much, not going to classes. And it looks like that's what happened to Ethan. I mean, just looking at what we've heard about him, we know that his grades dropped. We know he had to leave the fraternity. I have a hair that is hanging. Had to leave the fraternity, playing video games all the time, skipping classes. Those are big changes. The questions that the police officers were asking about Ethan had to do with who he hung out with. To me, they were trying to hint at, did he have people, not associated with the university, not associated with the frat? And they asked a lot about his money. Did he? And I heard someone else on another channel, and I can't remember who it was, but one of the conversations out there in YouTube land was it could go either way. Like the way they were asking the questions, like, was Ethan hurting for money? Or did he all of a sudden have a lot of money and, not really a way to explain how he had come into money? Those are all signs to me. Joshua H. You guys are giving me names. Let me back up here. There's a JH on the defense witness list. Oh, look at this. Will it interpret it for me? I should have an interpret button. Let's see. What it's white and black. I know a little bit of Spanish, you guys. It's white and black. Something in the WWE. I don't know what met and fit. Oh, with the Mexicans. Yeah. I see what you're saying. It's black and white. They're united and getting things from Mexico. Did I interpret that right? Yeah, Karmic, I see your conversation about the girls' demeanors when they were in the interviews, especially when they did their interviews on November 15th. Like, to me, the emotion wasn't there. Hi, Paco. I always thought this topic that you posted was going to be the trail to go down, and I wasn't ruling out it being connected back over to the Dr. Moore case. If this was the reason, I just don't know if this is the reason, but I kind of think that's what he was doing out of his office, because you would need a doctor, I think. I'm not sure for this. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense how one guy says he has money and then Hunter focuses on how he would owe him for beer. Yeah, it's like well, I think one of them said, well, his parents just, funded him, I guess. And I said yesterday, like, a lot of college kids will work their butts off in the summertime to save up enough money to go back to school with. All right. So there's that about Ethan, okay, and the mystery apartment, right? We looked at that yesterday. I think he probably lived in what's the name of the road? Oh, now I can't think of it. Taylor Road Apartments, Taylor Avenue Apartments, something like that. That was my speculation of where I think he made it. It's right behind the 76 gas station. The rent was cheap. They had lots of one-bedroom apartments. That's how I was making my guess. We know that there was drug use in the house. The cops flat out say it. So was the motive around that being owing money? If something goes missing, are you owing money? Was there a missing supply? That was a rumor. Did someone narc? That's what we used to always say back in the day. Did someone rat somebody out? And especially if there was a CI in the house, did something go wrong with that? Right? And all of these thoughts that I have on this slide here, in my mind, it's all still connecting back to the umbrella of drugs, but who could go in many different directions, why could go in many different directions, things like that. Yep. Hey, nomadic duck man. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I always had cash on me because I waited tables but it was a long time ago. In today's economy, yeah, nobody uses cash anymore, so it would be all digital. Yeah, it wouldn't be. But they would still have it in their bank account. So however, I don't even know. I'm talking about tips, like waiting tables and getting tips. So it's probably just all in their account. Everything's digital now. Hey, Dago. All right. So we're going to watch something that shows. It's not that. Yeah. Okay. Whoops. What am I doing here? There we go. Share this instead. Okay, let me get you the link. This channel is BC Productions. They have tons of subscribers. And this video is called The Students Who Ran a $21 million Drug Ring. Okay. And I'm only going to show like about half of it. It's a 25-minute video. The first part of it explains the craziness and exactly what happens during rush at a fraternity. And it's interesting, but it didn't really go with what I'm talking about today. So if you want to watch that whole thing later, there's the link for you. But this guy decided he was going to start this ring at this university, and I'll have to listen. I already listened to it once, but I can't remember if he was actually a student or not. But it just shows like how these kids can get connected into it, where they get their supply from, how that whole thing goes down. And give me a minute to find the exact spot one.
At its core, the note is this.
We don't want a commercial. Let's be back here. Okay.
They actually had a lot in common. They both drove the same 1990s Mercedes SL Coupe. They were both goated on the sticks and both enjoyed trading dick and fart jokes. However, what really brought them together the most was their shared love of drug dealing. While burning together, Mikey noticed several vacuum-sealed bags full of weed stashed in red tomato cans in Rob's room. And when he asked about them,
all right, let me do this. So we're going to talk about nothing violent, but about substances and things like that. So if that's like triggering for anybody, just a warning about that. Okay.
he found out that Rob was selling several pounds of weed just.
All right. I think maybe there's more to this than I thought. How much time is at the beginning? Well, it's only an extra minute. Let's just watch the whole thing. Here we go.
In 2015, two students named Mikey Schmidt and Rob Liljeberg were running one of the biggest college drug rings in the world, spanning across 7 major schools and moving at least $21 million worth of product. The empire that these two had created gave them the life they always wanted. They owned expensive supercars, partied nonstop, and were rolling in more cash than they could ever dream of. But that dream turned into their worst nightmare when a fellow student was murdered, all thanks to the drug ring they started. So how did these two create such a massive operation? And more importantly, how did it get someone killed? Well, before he was selling thousands of pills, Mikey Schmidt was a rowdy kid who lived a decently good life growing up in Dunwoody, Georgia, a suburb about 20 miles north of Atlanta. While his father abandoned him from an early age, his mother was, in his words, a literal saint who worked so hard to give me whatever I wanted. She grinded her way up to become the vice president at a market research firm, a job that put food on Mikey's plate, a roof over his head, and a 1990s Mercedes to drive to high school with. However, while being grateful for his mom, he eagerly wanted to make some vice president level money of his own. Now, he wasn't going to go find a job where he put fries in bags. Instead, he wanted to get rich as quickly as possible, which initiated his first step in the world of drug dealing. At just 15 years old, Mikey was living a proud life of drinking and smoking before class, dating the cutest girl at school, and making at least $10,000 selling weed to his boys. Shit, the only downside to his life was that he was 5 feet 0 inches tall, earning him the nickname Little Mikey. Also from his boys. Thankfully, he did hit a growth spurt his senior year, where he shot up 7 inches to 5'7" before graduating and enrolling in the College of Charleston. CFC is located in the city of Charleston, South Carolina, and it was the perfect fit for Mikey. Students here were blessed with beaches to swim at, nice golf courses to play, a super active nightlife with everyone going out at least 4 to 5 times a week, and a nearly 1 to 4 guy to girl ratio at the time. But all of that goodness wasn't even Mikey's top reason for going there. It was the vast array of Greek life the school had, and he wasted no time getting involved. When he first arrived on campus in August of 2013, he went to the Student Activities Information Fair with the sole intent of meeting the guys who were part of the best fraternities on campus, Pi Kappa Alpha and Sigma Alpha Epsilon. These two were widely known as the elite organizations on campus, mainly because, well, most of the members were loaded. They held numerous high-profile social events, including boat charters, nights with bottle service, and many, many, many wild parties. With exciting thoughts of party.
Okay, so hi, Bubbly. I posted the link to this video. That's what I was saying, Dago. I posted the link to this video in the chat, so you can scroll up. Which book are you guys talking about? Oh, the book. I know. This is a story from the book. This is a story from the book. It's called, he mentions it at the end. Bro something. He says it at the end. Is that what you're talking about? Among the Bros. Yes, yes. So, okay, this channel is BC, capital B, capital C, Productions. And I put the link in the chat. If you scroll up, I can drop it again. Okay, there's the link. So yes, this is a story that he is retelling from the book that Bubbly just Among the Bros. And that book is all about fraternity life. I don't know a whole lot about it, but this person does other stories from that book too. He says that at the end also. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Partying with these guys for 4 years, Mikey darted past the nerds at the Quidditch booth and headed straight for the SAE table. But on his way there, he ran into someone else, a kid named Rob Liljeberg. Rob, who was dressed in khaki shorts and wielding a Subway footlong, was sitting at the Kappa Alpha order table, a frat that was much different than the two elites. They were considered sort of a middle tier org, with rowdy, albeit less expensive parties, and members who couldn't keep up with their SAE or Pike classmates professionally. Mikey had heard of these guys from older kids at his high school and his new roommate, but still, he wasn't interested until he noticed Rob was baked out of his mind. He saw Rob's bloodshot eyes locked on his sub, enough evidence for him to know he was on the moon, and asked if he smoked. Rob replied, "Yeah, we burn," and invited him to his house to hit his bong. Forgetting about the SAE booth, Mike.
Okay, so the guy's talking kind of fast, but and he's also showing text from the book here. But these, I believe there's three main guys, or might be three or four main guys, and he's explaining how they met each other. Okay. So we're just kind of getting that backstory right now. And Bubbly says this is a true story, and the case wrapped up when the Idaho 4 happened. Ooh, I'm gonna look more into this. This is crazy. Thanks, Karmic. Thanks.
Mikey simply responded, "Work," sparking the start of a new relationship that would change their lives forever. After the
All right, this is important because this is the hookup right here. Okay, let me back up just a little bit.
with rowdy, albeit less expensive parties and members who couldn't keep up with their SAE or Pike classmates professionally. Mikey had heard of these guys from older kids at his high school and his new roommate, but still, he wasn't interested until he noticed Rob was baked out of his mind. He saw Rob's bloodshot eyes locked on his sub, enough evidence for him to know he was on the moon, and asked if he smoked. Rob replied, "Yeah, we burn," and invited him to his house to hit his bong. Forgetting about the SAE booth, Mikey simply responded, "Work," sparking the start of a new relationship that would change their lives forever. After the duo smoked, they started to realize that they actually had a lot in common. They both drove the same 1990s Mercedes SL Coupe. They were both goated on the sticks and both enjoyed trading dick and fart jokes. However, what really brought them together the most was their shared love of drug dealing. While burning together, Mikey noticed several vacuum-sealed bags full of weed stashed in red tomato cans in Rob's room. And when he asked about them, he found out that Rob was selling several pounds of weed just like he had been doing since he was 15. The camaraderie made in that room instantly sparked a super strong friendship, and Rob...
All right, so these guys have found their soulmate in this world, in this selling. So first using and now learning that each other is selling. And the tomato cans is important. They are hiding it in tomato cans. All right.
Rob wasted no time introducing his new friend to the rest of the KA brothers. While the other brothers initially saw Mikey as a tryhard who was a little full of it, Rob's unwavering support for him secured Mikey a bid to pledge. But getting through pledgeship here was no easy task. First, pledges were assigned mandatory tasks to do all throughout the fall semester. Stuff like,
oh, this is the information that I was thinking I was going to skip because it's just all about the initiation process of the frats. But I know it's interesting to all of us, so we're going to go ahead and watch it because it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's also important to point out that even in this scenario, this story that we're watching, that is true story. When you talk about like a fraternity, it's not every single member, like just in any group or circle of people, you're going to have different people that do different things. I know, Karmic. Yeah, too much. But he must have taken that language right out of I know I cringed every time I heard that. Oh, yes, Bubbly. When I heard that part, you guys, you got to listen for the stuff that they hide the substances in. As soon as I heard that, Bubbly, I was like, I want to go back and look at the crime scene photos and see if I see anything like that, like chip bags, or Skittles, things like that. All right, continuing on. This is
cooking.
This is how they do their initiations, okay?
cleaning, running errands, and DDing on weekends. It didn't matter if you had class, you had to do these things. But this basic nanny shit wasn't even close to the worst of it. Mikey and his pledge class had to endure lineups, surprise meetings where the actives essentially just harassed the shit out of them. At these lineups, they made them drink pledge juice, a nasty-ass drink consisting of cat food, dip spit, and other stuff if they incorrectly answered questions wrong. They introduced them.
So remember that video we watched of the Iowa fraternity that just got busted recently? Those kids that were in the basement looked like they were doing a lineup, didn't it? Doing a lineup. Our new code word's going to be chip bag. Yep, doing a lineup.
To the bourbon circle, where pledges had to kill 7 or 8 handles of Evan Williams, which was about 20 shots a person. Physical pain was a great part of lineups too, like when Mikey had to lay his elbows and toes on bottle caps, watching them bleed until the elders allowed him to stand up. But if you can believe it, all of this crescendoed into the worst and final week of pledgeship. Hell Week. Hell Week essentially included everything I talked about before, but pushed to the limits. During the week, pledges were not allowed to leave the main KA house for any reason besides going to class. They couldn't use their phones, weren't allowed to take naps or showers, and had to make do with the horrific sleeping situation. Like how Mikey did when he was forced to sleep in the dirt underneath the house for 2 nights, catching a 103-degree fever. It was quite literally hell, but it was all worth it thanks to the very last night of the week, kidnap night. On this chilly fall evening, Mikey and his class had the opportunity to get back at the active who was harshest to them during their pledgeship by literally kidnapping. This organization is so fucked up. The gang chose someone, bought copious amounts of duct tape, got drunk, and drove to the victim's house where they bound his legs and hands tight. Mikey, who was the getaway driver, sped off with the active in his trunk, screaming for help. But the fun didn't last long. While trying to get away, Mikey was pulled over after swerving around a pedestrian and failing to signal. And when the cop heard a human squealing like a pig in his trunk, it's obvious to say he was punished. Mikey got...
Okay. Kidnap night? Kidnap night. I've heard that before. That is a thing. That is seriously a thing in the Greek world. So I don't know if this is the second time I've heard this too. I don't know if I understood all the details, but it was something about getting back at so you go through all those rituals that they were doing in the lineup, in the bourbon circle, whatever they said, all that stuff. And then it's one night to like get back at the person that did this to you. Oh my gosh.
Got hit with reckless driving and driving without a license, which seems light considering he literally kidnapped someone. But the charges were the least of his worries. You see, while the cops had him in custody, they berated him with every question under the sun about marijuana, which seems odd considering he hadn't smoked or had any weed on him. Still, this interrogation and the fact that he now had a police record piqued Mikey's anxiety, enough to warn Rob as soon as he got out to move his red tomato cans somewhere safe in case the cops came to the house with a search warrant. And so the cans were stashed away. Mikey officially became a KA after an insane night, and the duo could finally take a deep breath and enjoy some wild parties as equals. Well, for about a semester. While living it up in the spring semester of his freshman year, Mikey's focus on academics dwindled to about nothing. He was mainly locked in on A, partying his ass off with KA, and B, running a mini weed dealing scheme in his freshman dorm. As a result of his priorities, he frequently missed classes and never did homework, netting him an outstanding 2.4 GPA and no signs of improvement. He was left with no choice but to drop out, leaving his fun lifestyle and, more importantly, his new best friend behind. He packed all of his
See, this is an example of what I was saying when you have a freshman going to college and, I mean, is it nature, nurture? Is it chance? Is it, I don't know. He hooked up with this person in this video, met, I guess, like-minded people. So, sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you meet somebody that's completely opposite of you, and then you start exploring and doing things you've never done before. I mean, it could be any range like that, but when you do too much partying and not enough studying, this is what happens. It's typical.
Shit and moved back to Dunwoody, where his mom and stepfather were rightfully pissed off at their son. $30,000 a year and you didn't even go to class, his stepfather yelled. And back and forth fights left Mikey forced to enroll in online classes at Georgia State's Perimeter Community College. Of course, a random community college didn't bring the fun or boozing that Mikey had a taste of at CFC. But that didn't mean he was going to give up the drugs. Not doing drugs exactly, but selling them. You see, before Mikey left school, he made an agreement with his BFF Rob to start selling together. Rob at this point was getting big mail orders of bud from a woman in California and was making pretty decent margins on his investment.
Okay, so Mike, I believe, is the guy that just got kicked out of school and he's starting to go to school online. This is Rob. So they were hanging out together. Rob was the one that was mostly doing all the selling, I believe. And now they're going to do it together. I hope I have that correct. And hello, Sylvia Hurley. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you. Hi, Shasta Cal 805. Hello. Conrad Harrison comes to the door with Hunter. Well, that's a CH.
But with Mikey's newfound free time, Rob could sell him some of his weed and let Mikey make some extra cash too. This was perfect timing, especially for Mikey, who had just started.
All right, so Rob is getting his supply from somewhere, and then he's selling some of it to Mike, who's then going to sell it so he can make some money.
Started a valet job at the Tongue and Groove nightclub, a gig where he met a lot of rich people who were interested in his product. This marks the very first instance of Mikey and Rob's operation, but it would only get much bigger thanks to the rapid rising popularity of a new drug in town. And that drug was Xanax. The white ball.
There you go. And this was what, 2015? I thought they said 2015.
Bars had been floating around the campus of CFC since 2012, mainly used as a hangover cure by frat bros after hitting the town for 5 days straight. However, as the years passed, they became the primary choice in the drug economy, not only for how great people felt when taking them, but because they were easy to sell from a dealer's perspective. They were odorless, lightweight, and only a Schedule IV drug, meaning being caught with large quantities of them resulted in less severe sentencing. While Rob was mainly a weed guy, he couldn't help but notice the skyrocketing demand for Xanax and quickly made them a priority in his scheme with Mikey. The issue was, he didn't have a Xanax guy to buy from, which is where Zachary Kligman came in clutch. Zachary was a 24-year-old based in Charleston who consisted mostly of knees and elbows, described as being a sweet...
Consisted mostly of knees and elbows. Does that mean he was really skinny? Okay, so here comes, enter in this third guy who I do not think is connected to the fraternity. He's a guy from, sounds like another town, right? Yeah.
Soft guy who really didn't come off as a big-time drug dealer. But contrary to his appearance, Zachary was a part of the biggest source of counterfeit manufactured Xanax pills in Charleston, also known as GG249 bars. He and his team pressed 500,000 pills a month, netting the operation roughly $300,000 in profit by selling Xanax in bulk to guys like Rob. Rob would go to Zach and buy around 10,000 pills at a time for about 70 cents each and be able to...
See, this is the scenario I am thinking of when I think, was it actually, could hypothetically a college student actually commit the crime? Or are somehow, some way, is there just this connection? There's going to be a connection off campus. Right? It's going to be someone probably older. It's going to be someone who's not in college. They're not in college. They're they're dealing, they're in that world. So at some point those two worlds have to come together. This is what I'm imagining in a possible scenario if it were to be something like this. And then that's why I think that's who would be capable, or eventually you would get far enough away from the university into a more dangerous area of this where those people would be capable of doing it. That's what I think.
Offload all of them in a week, making around a 300% profit on his investment. And one of the main guys Rob offloaded to was Mikey, who would take these pills and sell them not only to his connections at his valet job, but also at other big colleges like UGA and Ole Miss. People were eating these pills up, quite literally. The demand for Xanax was stronger than anything Mikey had ever sold. And boy, did it make him stinky rich. Mikey went from a relatively broke ex-college kid to someone who owned an Infiniti G35, a drop-top BMW, and paying about $35,000 in rent a year for a luxury apartment in downtown Atlanta. Also, at his new apartment, he would rest from a day of hanging out with celebrities like Waka Flocka Flynn, who he met through a new job he started working as the right-hand man for a big Atlanta promoter. His weed and backwood rolling skills were too good for Waka and his boys not to hang out with them, which only gave Mikey more great connections. Gotta hand it to him. Quite the turnaround for the kid. The new trio of Rob, Zach, and Mikey was operating like a well-oiled machine, each making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in their early 20s. So with a now legitimate business in the works, it only made sense for Mikey to make his grand return to CFC to continue scaling the drug ring while being closer to Rob and Zach. And boy.
So Rob is at college. Mike was doing online college. Doesn't sound like he's doing that anymore. Zach just lives in another town. I don't think he's a college student. So they just got this one connection at a university. They're, of course, reaching out to other universities and doing the same things there. That's showing how this is possible. How could they? It's not far-fetched. It's not crazy. And these are smart, wealthy, kids that come from wealthy, successful families.
Did it get bigger? But before we get into how big their operation got, I want to share with you a product that has changed the way I work forever. I'm talking about the Plod Note. And boy, let me tell you, this sleek device has changed.
All right, I'm going to skip that. Hi, Senor Wazowski. Hope you're having a great day. The drug ring in the university is 3 or 4 class years deep. Yeah, it gets passed on, right? Passed down like forbidden knowledge. Yep. And so, Senor, I was explaining that earlier, that's what I think the house was. So having this is just my theory, one of them, like a possibility is what I'm saying. What if it's the house that kind of is where all that runs through, because that house was passed on year after year. So just a thought. Oh, Bubbly, you agree? Yeah, kind of think that. All right, let's get past the commercial.
In the medical field or writing. It's also clutch in a work setting, like for
he's selling a note taker. An electronic note taker.
Back to what felt like his real home. Now, Mikey wasn't actually back in CFC. I mean, it's pretty clear he was.
Oh, this was important. Let me back this up.
His real home.
Nope. I can't tell where the commercial ends. Right there. 20% off.
Price drop going on right now, so don't miss it. Okay, back to the boys. At the end of summer break in 2015, Mikey packed his things from his parents' house and his penthouse and made the 5-hour drive back to what felt like his real home. Now, Mikey wasn't actually back in CFC. I mean, it's pretty clear he wasn't.
Okay, so he left his expensive penthouse and went back to his hometown, I guess. Karmic said that the house was the Delta's spot first. There could be many things going on that maybe are related to the crime, maybe aren't. Maybe they're just peripheral things that are weird that really aren't connected. But I think trying to get a hold of that house again could be one of them. Yeah. They didn't want Ethan there. Yeah. In one of the interviews, let me see if I wrote down who it was. One of the Sigma Chi's says, Conrad. So in Conrad's interview, he said Ethan didn't like the Delts. He, I guess, tolerated them when they would be at the house, but he didn't like the Delts. So your statements are corroborated by the Sigma Chi interviews.
academically smart whatsoever. So instead of begging the dean to let him back in, he enrolled in online classes once again at another new college called Trident Technical and rented out another high-end apartment in Charleston at 930 Noma, meaning he was paying 2 luxury leases at around $70,000 a year for no reason. Like I said, not academically smart, but the high price tag was
the host of the show just got a little dig in on Mike here. Senor, you have such good insights. I think the sororities could be a stash house, and the frats could be the distributors. Yeah. That's why I keep saying that locked room. The locked room. Red flag. In my opinion.
was worth it to him. He was back being involved in KA, hazing pledges and partying his ass off like the good old days. The only difference this time around was that he had way more money to have fun with, but he was hungry for more. Trying to figure out ways to make even more money with Rob and Zach, Mikey had a genius revelation. Start selling cocaine. You see, there weren't many, if any, small-time cocaine.
Oh my God. These guys are just leveling up, but I guess that's what happens, right? You start and then you do more and more and more. Karmic, I see your opinion. Maybe, we don't know when we're listening to these interviews what is honest truth and what might be, information that they're trying to push people towards another outcome. Like what are they lying about? What are they telling the truth about? And if Ethan not liking the Delts is a lie, maybe Ethan did like them more. Maybe he was, the Delts, those Delts, some of them, they got called out for being the house where you could get these substances. Is that true? Or are they just trying to point that direction so you don't look at our direction? I don't know. I do know that nationally, the Delts have that type of reputation. Like, they do have that kind of reputation. Hi, ARW. Moving on up. I know that song. Such thing as an off-campus sorority house. They just use that term. It's said that if there's a sorority house off campus with 2 or more living there, then it's called what? I was saying yesterday, I thought it was weird to have Greek houses on campus. Where I went to school, none of them were on campus. They were all off campus. So I thought that was weird.
Cocaine dealers on
All right, we're leveling up to the white powder now.
Charleston's campus.
Look at it's a beautiful campus. Look at that. Beautiful.
Mainly because the trade was largely controlled by organized crime. But that didn't deter Mikey one bit.
Wait, it was run by what? What?
Genius revelation. start selling cocaine. You see, there weren't many, if any, small-time cocaine dealers on Charleston's campus, mainly because the trade was largely controlled by organized crime. But that didn't deter Mikey one bit. Instead, he sought out these people to make connections with them so he could bring some pure Colombian nose candy.
Yeah, who's he going to seek out? Who's he going to seek out? And now in this story, the kid is seeking out the supplier. I think it's possible that suppliers could also be seeking out these kids on campus.
Candy to the masses. Now don't fret, Mikey wasn't dumb enough to go cold calling these guys. He already had a connection thanks to his rapper friends in Atlanta. From them, he met a guy by the name of Uncle. Uncle was a middle-aged white man who spoke fluent Spanish and had a great relationship with the cartel. So
there you go. It takes one person. It takes one person to have a connection. One person that knows you, can vouch for you to be your connection. Hey, ARW, thank you so much for that super chat, super sticker. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. It's nice to see you here today, too. Hi, Roxy Tucker. Hello. Just got here. 2 things popped into your mind. Eco Shield. And I wonder if this is how. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The connections are crazy. Yeah. All right, so we got Uncle here. So I know a rapper, and the rapper is connecting me to Uncle, and Uncle's got the big connections.
much so that they gave Unc the best wholesale prices possible for their product. And when Unc heard that his boy Mikey wanted in on the cocaine business, he was more than happy to cut him in on these Costco level deals.
All right, so now Mike is in. Think about, let's go back to the Idaho 4 case, okay? Just completely speculating scenarios out here, right? Not blaming anybody, not accusing anybody. I put that huge disclaimer at the beginning. However, we're going to think through this. If if you have people, students on campus that are selling and buying, right? And the kids are buying, their friends that are at the campus are selling. We know that the D and the E that I mentioned on my slide earlier are coming to the house. They're known. We've heard a student speak out about what goes on in that King Road neighborhood. The cops know that 1122 house was a party house. They knew there was drugs associated in that house. That's coming from the cops. That's not coming from us. And from another student in the area. And so you've got these. So I think D and E are the off-campus connection. They're like that first rung to get off campus, right? And then who are they connected to? Right? Then who are they connected to? And then who are they connected to? And that's why I've always listened to Jay Embry's videos about the off-campus, in the community, more connected back. Who are those people, right? I don't know if all the names are right. I don't know, but it's in my mind, it's a scenario like that. Just my 2 cents. Oh, there's a doc, Karmic. Thank you for the information. If anyone can find the doc from the Kennewick, I don't know. I have the docs pulled up so I could easily, if someone tells me what number it is, I have ISP docs and MPD docs pulled up. We could get to that easily.
So, in no time, Mikey was driving bricks of pure Peruvian booger sugar in a Toyota Prius with a baby on board sticker from Atlanta to Charleston, then selling it to Rob in bulk so he could sell it for profit too. At this point, the trio's network was near perfect. Rob would sell Mikey's cocaine in bulk to Zach, and Zach would sell his Xanax in bulk to Mikey and Rob, creating a lucrative structure by providing all parties access to wholesale drug prices.
That's
and
crazy.
with a well-established multi-level marketing type of pyramid involving dozens of other students and fraternity members driving their drugs across schools, these three boys were on top of the world.
All right, let's go back to that picture for a minute, okay? Because this made me think of something.
Well-established multi-level marketing type of pyramid involving dozens of other students and fraternity members driving their drugs across.
Okay. So, once you get them to the campus and then look, there's all these people below them doing the selling, maybe in different houses, wherever, neighborhoods, whatever. Think about with those white people, the color white symbols for the people in the triangle up there, turn one of them red. Just turn one of them red. And let's say that person maybe got pulled over for a DUI. Okay. These are good, smart college students. They earned their way into college. And they're making a bad decision. They're making a poor choice, right? Hustling on the side to make some money. And what if that one that you turned red? Oh, doctor, sorry. Hi, critter. I'll come back to the chat in a second. Let me finish this. We turn one of those people in that triangle red because maybe hypothetically they got pulled over for a DUI. I heard that might have happened to somebody. It is in one of the interviews. Let me see who says it. Kelvin, our friend Kelvin, in Kelvin's interview, he says when the police are asking, did anybody get into any trouble or anything? I don't know the name, but he said somebody, so this is a Sigma Chi brother, had a DUI and was still dealing with it. So I've done episodes in the past on how they turn confidential informants, how they create them, and it could be something as simple as a DUI. I mean, college students are terrified of that. It ruins your reputation when trying to get a job after college. It's super expensive. You're going to completely humiliate and, get in trouble with your parents, all of that. So would a college student agree to do something for the police if that was offered to get out of a DUI? Now you have this person in that triangle that is giving information to the police. That's how it could happen. And what did I say wrong up here? Let me come back and because I told you if I said something wrong, I would correct it. The doctor. Oh, it was Karmic's. Hi, Leftina. Hello. If I missed anybody saying hello to you, I'm so sorry. I've been going back and forth between screens. Like Janet. Hi, Janet. Thank you for that. Oh, I cannot find it. I'm sorry, Karmic, if I misunderstood, if it was doctor instead of document. Okay, moving on now that we understand that.
schools, these three boys were on top of the world. A low estimate suggests that their entire operation made them around $21 million, pushing hundreds of thousands of Xanax pills, hundreds of pounds of weed, and cocaine by the kilogram every month. The now 7 school-wide operation literally made them too much money, forcing them to bury millions on farmland, open Bitcoin wallets with millions, and even launder money in their own financials at KA. But of course, they spent this bread too. Mikey
They were burying money. Where were they? I need to let's go to the farmland and find that money. Bubbly, you're fine. You're fine. I know you know a lot of information. You post whatever you want in here, girl. I know you know information. Look at that car, you guys. Oh my gosh.
himself bought 5 sports cars and would consistently spend tens of thousands at nightclubs, strip clubs, and on clothes. Rob opted to save most of his money, but Zach was swiping away like Mike, buying a nice car for himself and a slew of military-grade weapons like a compact pistol, an assault rifle, and a TAC-D grenade launcher to attach to his rifle. What the fuck? Like, are you planning on going to war? Well, whether they were getting ready for
Weapons. Big weapons.
combat or not, the fellows were well set and saw no signs of slowing down until a kid named Patrick Moffley made headlines. And this news would result in a devastating turn of events for the trio and their drug ring. Patrick grew up in an affluent neighborhood as the
Don't listen to me. You guys don't listen to me. I thought he said they were burying their money in farmland. They were buying farmland. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that's funny. Big weapons. Yeah. Wait, who's this guy? Sorry, I was laughing at myself. They're bringing in someone else. They're spending all their money. All right, there's the weapon.
What the fuck? Like, are you planning on going to war? Well, whether they were getting ready for combat or not, the fellows were well set and saw no signs of slowing down until a kid named Patrick Moffley made headlines. And this news would result in a devastating turn of events for the trio and their drug ring. Patrick grew up in an affluent neighborhood as the son of a luxury real estate developer and was strikingly similar to Mikey. He was also a super rowdy kid, known as a class clown and a dumb risk taker. For example, he once broke into his drug dealer's house and stole his weed, leading to violent threats against his family and his dad paying off the deal. But that didn't stop him from getting involved in dealing, as when he enrolled in the College of Charleston in 2015, his main focus was selling weed to, quote, make my parents proud that I'm making it on my own. You know, I doubt that made them happy at all, but regardless, he was making money. And he would eventually start to make even more after he joined Zach's part of the trio's drug ring. He was oddly good at packaging and selling Xanax, cocaine, and other drugs in resealed Starburst and Skittles bags. And at one point, it looked like Patrick was right on track to bring...
Okay, there you go, you guys. So this new kid, Patrick, joins in, right? Selling. And he is like a genius at coming up with creative ways to package. And it said he used Starburst and Skittles bags. So just think about that, because you got to hide this stuff
in boatloads like the boys. However, his fortunes would take a nosedive after he was caught selling 13 ounces of cocaine at a USC tailgate. This brought serious charges on him, facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 to 30 years without parole. He was...
When they were all talking about what are you bringing to the tailgate party, like who's bringing the hot dogs, who's bringing the buns, who's bringing the plates, Patrick here was bringing the party supplies, and he got busted at a tailgate party. Oh my gosh. And he's the one who said, oh, I'm going to make my parents proud because I'm going to be making a lot of money and they're going to be proud of me. Oh my God, these kids, when your frontal lobe is not connected, oh my gosh, Kit Kats. Way to have the recall, Roxy Tucker. That is, Carlos is going to be so happy that I remembered the word recall. We always point that out when comedians do it. So those of you that don't know, like what 400,000 Kit Kat bars were stolen, something like that, off of a truck over in Italy. Last week I reported on that. Yeah, what if they're hiding them in Kit Kat bars now? Oh my God. That was perfect.
Was released on bond, returned home to his family's farm, and spent the better part of a month battling Xanax withdrawals and panic attacks. And on top of his shitty situation, Zach cut him out of the operation, fearing Patrick would rat on him to lessen his sentence. As the long, gruesome, and lonely days went by awaiting Patrick's trial, his dad convinced him to return to CFC for a little while, as his roommates were concerned about him and his unpaid utilities.
So this is a devastating move right here, okay? The kid got in trouble, gets kicked out of school, goes back home. You know, parents are aware now of what he's doing. You know, it could have been like a positive turning point for him. He was going through the withdrawals. He's doing all this stuff, but he still had an apartment or whatever he was doing back at campus. And his roommates, listen to this, you guys, connect this back to the Idaho 4. His roommates were complaining, you're not paying the utilities. Right, Bubbly? Didn't that happen in the house? You're not paying the utilities. We need you to pay the utilities. So his parents told him to, you know, his dad says, hey, go back and live there, work, you know, help pay off the utilities probably till the lease is up or whatever. Horrible choice. Horrible choice. This kid could have stayed home and kept getting clean.
Patrick wasn't going to turn down an opportunity to socialize, so on March 3rd, 2016, he briefly moved back in and paid his utilities. And the next day, he was murdered. Police arrived at his college house after a call from his roommates, and
the next day, you guys, the next day, the guy went back for 1-2 nights and was murdered. I mean, I wanted to show this just because I was showing how this can work with doing this type of activity on campus. I wasn't even thinking that we were going to be able to connect this so closely back to this crime. Not saying this is exactly what happened, but it's eerie. It's eerie with the similarities. It is. Hi, Judgment. Right?
what they found was shocking. Barely alive, Patrick was on the floor with a gunshot wound in his chest and sitting in a pool of hundreds of white pills, all of them marked GG249. After investigations took place, it was found that the reason for his murder was a drug robbery gone wrong, and the man who shot him, Charles Mungeon III, was eventually caught.
All right, so couple things. Everybody always says if it's this type, where'd the guy go?
For his murder was a drug robbery gone wrong, and the man who shot.
Okay. When talking about the Idaho 4, everybody says like the manner of death doesn't match what if it was drug related would be. And I mean, I see that. In my mind, the person on the screen right here, not just because it's a black man, I'm just saying somebody more removed from campus that's used to living in a more violent world would come in and do it. His rich college buddies weren't the ones that did it. It's someone, more outside that's going to come in and do it. And I've always said that from the beginning with Idaho 4 too.
Charles Mungeon III was eventually caught, but the Charleston police still had one unanswered question. Who sold Patrick these pills. And in seeking the answer, they would unravel one of the biggest drug rings to ever take place on a college campus. After the tragedy of Patrick's death, Detective Patrick Gill of the Charleston Special Investigations Unit, along with the FBI, CIA, the U.S. Postal Service, and more, launched.
Oh, look at this. The FBI, the CIA, and the U.S. Postal Service.
An operation with the sole purpose of breaking up the trio's drug ring. Their first problem, though, was, well, they didn't even know these three dudes were running it or who was involved at all. They did have one hot lead, though, Jake Poshik. In late 2015, Jake had been caught dealing Xanax in a public park and was hit with numerous possession with intent to distribute charges.
See, and here's what happens. They didn't know who those three kids leading this on the campus were. But all they had to do was arrest somebody somewhere down that pyramid. Somewhere. They could be the 500th person down that pyramid, that chain reaction to get the information. And I've shared other stories on other past lives where I showed stories how what the police will have confidential informants do, and they put them in dangerous situations. They don't give them any training. They give them a quota, like you have to make 10 buys in the next 2 weeks or something like that. And the kids that have to make those buys freak out because they don't want to go to the big guns, and then they end up selling to their friends and like stuff like that. Like it's a hot mess. So here they have caught somebody low down the totem pole. And what do you think he's going to do? He's going to probably rat.
He didn't budge much in cooperation, but after the SIU raided his girlfriend's apartment, he knew they weren't fucking around and eventually told them a name. Zachary Kligman. Between then and the day Patrick was shot, police had been monitoring Zach's primary stash house, known as the Tree House, with a hidden camera. Problem was that
oh my God, you guys, when I heard Tree House, I could not. They lived at the tree house. And you got to listen to this part because the police put a secret camera on the tree. So what happens is, I'm going to rewind this a little bit too, because again, it goes really fast. So the kid that they busted in the park, he did not want to tell them any information. So you know what the cops did? They busted in and raided his girlfriend's apartment. So now the kid's freaked out. So he's like, okay, I'll tell you a name. Whoops.
Raided his girlfriend's apartment, he knew they weren't fucking around and eventually told them a name. Zachary Kligman.
Okay, remember Zach was the guy. Oh, he gave a big name. So this kid didn't say, oh, here's the person I get it from. He went way up to the top. Zach is the guy that had the connection, I believe, to the uncle.
Between then and the day Patrick was shot, police had been monitoring Zach's primary stash house, known as the Tree House, with a hidden camera.
The Tree House was the stash house. I'm not saying that the Tree House in Moscow is the stash house. I'm just saying they had a house on campus or right off campus associated with the campus that was a stash house. This was in 2016, 2017. A recent video someone talks about someone with a long name. This is with the hidden camera.
was that Patrick and his forces didn't see much sketchy shit going down on the footage over the course of these months, so they put Zach on the back burner. But when the incident with Patrick happened, they fired back up the tapes to see if Zach was reacting to the news. And sure enough, he was. Within minutes of the shooting, Patrick's roommate Fireball, who was also heavily involved in Zach's operation, texted him to move his clothes. Code to move any and all illegal shit out of the treehouse. Zach
they use codes, you guys. That's another thing that I showed a lot in my other videos. Like, it just depends. Everybody comes up with different codes for things that they're used to. This guy said, move your clothes, and they knew what that meant. Fireball, something with so someone had the code name Fireball. I don't know the connection to that, Bubbly, if you want to share.
Rushed to his stash house and moved his military weaponry, thousands in cash, and millions of pills to an extra space storage unit as fast as he could. And the SIU saw all of it. The surveillance footage gave them all they needed to track down the unit, which when they seized it contained $25,000, laptops, ledgers, his firearms, and nearly 7,000 grams of Xanax pills. Zachary was the first one to go down, but he was not going to go down without a fight. Facing several severe charges and decades in prison time, he wasted no time cooperating with the SIU.
See, this is why when people put down the theory of this happening in Idaho with the people that have been speculated about, like snitching about other people to get out of trouble, having nothing to do with the campus kids. I'm not talking about the campus kids. I'm talking about the other, removed before you get down to the campus level. I think that makes the most sense. That's just my opinion. Hi, Wade Bird. It is like a blueprint. It is like a blueprint. I'm not understanding the fireball thing. How did I miss that? Fireball, find in-house. Are you guys talking about the drink Fireball? The hit and run where the girl said someone stole her car? That one? Does every college have a treehouse? Not when I was in college. I don't know. Krusty Krab nailed it. What did Krusty Krab say? I don't see that name. Sorry. All right, going on, moving on.
First tried to rat on Eric Hughes, one of the other main guys in his counterfeit Xanax factory. Eric was on top of it though, seeing Zach had a mugshot published online and completely cut him off. So Zach turned to the next best person to take down, Rob. He told Patrick that Rob was not only one of his primary Xanax customers, but also his main source of cocaine. The SIU gladly took this info and set up a controlled buy between Zach and Rob, where Rob would sell Xanax a pound of Colombian. Zach, with the new codename Mr. Sorry, arranged to meet Rob on April 22nd, 2016 near CFC's campus to buy the powder. But little did Rob know, Zach would pull up in a completely bugged Cadillac rigged head to toe in hidden cameras and microphones. Rob handed over the cocaine in a popcorn bag and didn't suspect a thing until immediately after the exchange went down and he was seized by the police. Rob was now in the exact same predicament as Zach. He faced serious charges and serious prison time. And just like Zach, he was eager to do anything he could to get out of it, even if it meant turning on his best friend. His friend.
This is how it goes down. Rat, 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 rat down the and then, what if you're the guy that is hidden that they can't find, and what's this gonna do to your operation? Are you gonna be mad about these people that are flipping and ratting? That's what I think.
who he instantly bonded with the day they met, his friend that partied with him to their heart's desire, his friend who was like a brother to him. Rob threw his entire friendship with Mikey in the trash and snitched on him to no end. Rob, assuming the codename Hunter Thompson, provided Patrick and the SIU with a year's worth of text messages between himself and Mikey detailing drug movements, money laundering, and their operation philosophy. In addition, he set up planned and recorded phone calls, continuing to collect even more info to build a serious case against his ex-BFF. Meanwhile, Mikey was tweaking like he had never tweaked before. It wasn't because he suspected Rob was trying to snitch on him, but because he found Zach's mugshot online. Even though Zach still owed Mikey around $14,000, he was more anxious over the fact that he was in custody, fearing he had—
Oh, you guys, the cops, this is important. This kid didn't know that the other kid was snitching. He didn't know who the snitch was, but he found his mugshot online. That just shows, like, when the police use these informants, they do, it could just be careless. It could just be careless, not thinking it all the way through for the safety of the people that you're using. They're using them, you know.
Had been released and would snitch on him any day now. Rob tried to calm him down, offering to be his pledge and sell Mikey's cocaine until the money was paid off. Rob successfully convinced a paranoid Mikey to meet up with him on his graduation weekend in May of 2016, selecting the Vendu Hotel rooftop as the place to exchange a batch of Mikey's prop. That day, Mikey's anxiety peaked, and he called Rob, begging him, "Dude, I love you like a brother. I'll do anything you need, but don't set me up." Rob reassured him, "I owe you money, not he." Rob then met Mikey on the rooftop while wearing a wire. 2 days after the exchange, Mikey was pulled over while driving to his parents' home for Mother's Day and promptly arrested by none other than Detective Patrick Gill. During interrogations, Gill revealed the existence of the cooperating informant, Hunter Thompson, and presented documentation listing Mikey's name alongside the informant's many times. This material, as we know, included dozens of phone calls, texts, and the crucial wire recording from the Vendu rooftop. And right in that moment, Mikey realized that Rob was Hunter and snitched on him. And his subsequent consequences from him snitching were not light by any means. After the SIU's months-long investigation at—
So they're finding out who the snitches are. And so to me, that, you know, they're gonna want payback for that is what I think. That's what I think in the Idaho 4 case anyways. I've always like hung on to that theory. That's just my theory. I could be 1,000% wrong, you know, way off. If this comes out, it's going to truly upset the Ventura upside down. This is why they're protecting. Oh. Hi, Tony Stevenson. You don't think anybody at the house was a confidential informant? Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, we barely heard it. You know, some people think they don't hear that on the camera. Might not be that, but I don't know. Yeah, and we've got all those people related to the case. All right, let's see what happens.
Settled. A total of 8 kids were charged, including all 3 of our main trio. It was now time for sentencing, and unfortunately for Mikey, he was suspect number 1. Because Rob and Zachary had been so cooperative, they generally avoided a lot of the heat from the prosecution. But Mikey, not agreeing to cooperate and having loads of Rob's evidence against him, was about to get slammed by the book. Even though Mikey hired 4 different attorneys for his multiple charges, including one who was known for getting rappers out of trouble, he received a 10-year sentence without parole after he pled guilty. This did seem like a small win though, as he was facing a minimum 25-year sentence just like his peers. But Rob ended up getting less than 24 months, and Zach only received 2 years of probation because he had served time before in a separate case. Mikey was stung by this news, but hey, at least he had time to forget about it at his going away party. That's right, Mikey went out with a bang. 2 days before being incarcerated, Mikey and an entourage of KA members, 808.
This is crazy. This is crazy. And this is why it's almost like this problem that we have in our country is just like a joke, along with other like assault against women and things like that. Like, we just keep letting people out to do the same thing over and over again, right? Like, it's not stopping the problem. So this kid is going on a binger before having to go to prison or wherever he went, jail.
Mafia members and other friends took on a wild night at a high-end lobster bar and a strip club before he was checked into Kirkland Correctional Institution on May 1st, 2019. He was later moved to the Watery River.
But remember, he was not the snitch, right? So the mafia is still like, when you don't snitch, then you're like rewarded.
Correctional Institution, where to this day is sweating through Xanax withdrawals and reflecting on who he thought was his best friend. I mean, it's probably more of a pride thing. Like, when he wakes up, he looks in the mirror and thinks, I'm a fucking rat. He also has one final looming regret.
Oh, he did rap.
I should have been an SAE. This story is based on the outstanding book Among the Bros by Max Marshall. Please click the link in the description to check.
Okay, so there's the book for you, Among the Bros, a fraternity crime story by Max Marshall. And the guy that just told us this story is, I don't know the guy's name. His channel is BC Productions. I put the link in the chat twice. If you scroll up, it's up there. And he said that Mike is still in jail, and this was posted November 25th, 25. So yeah, Bubbly had said that this case, they must have got sentenced right before the Idaho 4 happened, I think is how I took it. That's crazy. Has anyone seen the show The Chair Company? Really? The Chair Company. Where do you find that at, Roxy Tucker? The Chair Company. It's kind of connected to all of this. All right. So let me switch over here for a second. Oh, no, I got rid of it. Oh. I clicked the wrong thing. I want to go back to this and see if anything makes more sense now. These were the things, if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, that I was sharing my thoughts about with so now that we've listened to that story, right? Thinking about the house being the target, selling and storing in a house, having control of the house, the different sororities and fraternities that controlled the house. The police were definitely asking questions about drug use and selling and things like that, openly stating that they knew it was being done in the house. So I think there's we made a lot of connections while we were listening to that story. There's no proof. There is no, accusations being made. It's just things like this happen. We have a crime with a person in prison that they have not shown us solid evidence that he's the right person. You have a crime that looks nearly impossible for one person to have committed it. You have a crime where there's unknown male DNA on bloody objects in the crime scene, and they didn't bother to go through the full IgG ancestry with those. We have a lot of unknowns, and when I think about this case, I think about this scenario and this making the most sense to me. So Thanks, ARW. That's going to do it for today. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. There were like over 170 of you in here. I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit the like button for me on your way out and subscribe if you haven't. I am here every day I try to be 11:30 a.m. I'll set it for later if I know I'm running late. Yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Consider becoming a member. And I want to thank all the green unique peeps that I saw in here today. Lots of members. Thanks, Love Tina. I appreciate that. All the mods showing me support. I appreciate you. All your great ideas. Thanks, Bubbly. This was wonderful. So you guys all have a great rest of your afternoon. I know Dago was in here earlier, and he usually goes live right around this time. So be looking for True Crime Cafe with Dago to be going live, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate all of you so much. All right, we're clocking out. Bye.
Thanks for watching, hope you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. Subscribe, it's free and keeps us going strong. You're part of the crew now, right where you belong. Join us next time, same truth, same fire. We bring the heat and never tire. We're typically unique and proud to be a husband and wife in podcast harmony. That could be unique, yeah, that's you and me. Don't forget to like and hit subscribe, it's free. Come back again, we'll be right here with truth and laughs and zero fear. We don't always agree, but that's the show. One love, two minds, letting it flow. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we call it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. We don't always agree, but that's the show. One love, two minds, letting it flow. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we call it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. We don't always agree, but you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. We dig deep, we crack jokes, we call it like we see. If that's your vibe, you belong here with me. Thanks for watching, hope you felt the spark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. Please hit that like before it gets dark. It's free, it keeps us going strong. You're part of the crew, now right where you belong. Join us next time, same truth, same fire. We bring the heat and never tire. We're typically unique and proud to be a husband and wife and proud to be a husband and wife in podcast harmony. Yeah, that's you and me, that's you and me. Don't forget to like, hit subscribe, it's free. Come back again, we'll be right here with truth and laughs and zero fear.